I am the lead designer at DW Alliance, and I just want to talk a little bit about buy versus build. And we're going to kind of keep it generic. We won't talk about a specific system, just about systems in general. And it's also that, at the end of the day, what's best for you, the client, is sometimes not always our software. Sometimes actually it's better for you just to go ahead and build it yourself or work with a different vendor. And what we want you to do is basically to understand that what you're getting into, though. If you're building the system yourself, we have people that really just don't know what they need sometimes, and they'll actually have ideas. They'll say, "Okay, I want the system to work just like this," and they just don't seem to understand even their own business that well and how it works with software. And so we say, like most of our clients, they have no clue when they first start working with us, and then as we learn about what they are trying to do and what they need and how they would like to do it, then we start putting in the pieces of the software that they want. Some people would have problems with, like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to constantly pay money for things. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of like what most of life is, unfortunately. You do have to pay for using certain services. That's how the people who provide the services are able to stay in business and be there. And for you, as the person who is going to be hosting it yourself, if that's what you want to do, you're going to have to pay for those services. There's no free lunch. So no matter how it goes, it's someone's going to have to pay. We as a company will try to be innovative as possible so that we can make those fees transparent to you. Like, basically, we structure the process of how credit cards are processed, or the fees are done, so that you don't ever feel it, and nor your end users actually feel it. So it depends on what we're providing to you. Okay, now another thing too is that for the expertise. So what do you need to know to build your own software? Frankly, it's a lot of stuff. It's not trivial at all. You may start out with a really simple form that was your initial idea, but you're soon going to learn that that initial form doesn't cover what you need. It might do just the very first idea, but if you've thought about it for more than a week or two, and especially if you've used it for more than a few weeks, you've learned that your software doesn't really work all that well. So we get a lot of people that come to us after they've done the build, and they've already spent thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars. Just because that's just the nature of software. Unfortunately, there are very complex needs. We've been around for 15 years. We've met your needs. Most likely, we've already built what you're looking for. At times, though, we may not do a very good job of explaining it. It's because we don't fully understand what you need. So that's why when you first start talking to us, we really want you to talk to us. You talk to us, and you tell us what you need. You tell us how you want it done. And the more you talk, it's better. We don't need to talk that much. We need to listen, and then we can once you're kind of done talking, then we'll plug in all of our knowledge into your needs and say, this is where our software can help you, or just say, what, I don't think we're going to be able to service your needs, and we're so sorry, but here's some referrals from some other companies or other software packages that might be able to do that for you. So that's kind of where the expertise and what we're doing, at least, and what you'll need, programmers, database analysts, project managers, and of course the designers who look at the entire workflow, understand the technology. These are very complex things. And then once you actually had it built, when it breaks, who do you call? So there was a software upgrade, you did it, and after the upgrade it doesn't work. So what do you do? Is that employee still with you? Can he or she do that upgrade for you? Maybe, maybe not. And then when you actually need new features added inside there, say for instance that you went ahead and made the investment and you've been using it now for even several years, but the industry's changed. Now everyone's using cell phones and they need a much smaller screen. Who is going to make the upgrade, and who's going to make it so that your clients that are presently using your system can continue to use it, right, without being interrupted? But all these new clients who are using cell phones, how do you get those new clients? Or do you just go, okay, well, we'll just slowly die? And that's often a thing that we see with companies. They're locked into their technology so closely that upgrades are just not possible. They're too expensive. And so they just kind of watch their business slowly wither away, and that would be you. If you go that route and you don't, budget appropriately, saying that we will have to have constant programming to the system to stay current with the industry and all of your clients and your new clients' needs. All right, so we'll go over a few things with build, and we've already answered this a bit, but I'll try to keep this brief. Let's see, where do you answer the first one? The second one, do you have the expertise? Yeah, and that's, those are all the things. We have full-time programmers and database analysts and system administrators and project managers, and they create and update, manage the computers that you'll be using so that you don't have to do that. Also at a fraction of the cost of what you would do it as. You may have the software built, but having the software built doesn't cover everything. It just covers that small part of it initially. You can do that, but we don't recommend it, obviously, because we just don't. That's why people keep coming to us and staying with us for years, even though we have companies that have full-time programmers and other people. They can just do it cheaper with us. At the end of the day, we add more value than they can do it in-house. And when things break, they can call us. And most of the time they don't have to call us. One of our really important things is we don't ever want to have the conversation of it doesn't work. So we strive really hard to make sure that we don't ever have that conversation. We focus on a few niche industries that we work on, like content management and event management and other things. And those systems are highly optimized and work great, and they're very, very reliable, so that we don't ever have that call. But we get calls from people when their in-house systems died and they need to migrate off very quickly and to get things turned back on. We get that. And we already talked a little bit about when you need upgrades, and some companies have made that investment and they've had the systems up for several years, and but if they don't have the staff to continue with the upgrades, like I was saying, they just wither and die. And another big thing is security. So security these days is becoming more and more important, and if you are not constantly updating your software, you're likely going to be having a security problem. And I've read some real horror stories about companies being liable for all the credit cards stolen through their systems. Just not pretty, being billed for $100,000 you didn't know that you had to be billed for. And it's not something that you really want to ever happen to you. So, and they happen, and if you're really large and you do a lot of volume, it could be in the millions of dollars that were stolen because of a security lapse in the system that when you built it, it was okay, but because bugs were found and you did not upgrade because you didn't know, because you didn't have the staff to maintain it, it doesn't mean you're not liable for it. It means that you're liable for it, and you will be fined for it. So, not to mention just the public, very public beating that you're going to get, because in most countries these days you have to tell all the people that you lost their data, and that they will now need to go and change their credit card numbers and update all their automated billing systems because of your mistake. And when you built it, sure, it worked fine, but it's been up for 2 or 3 years and you didn't have anyone watching it. So that's some of the stuff that buy versus build, total cost of ownership. No, we definitely don't think building is something that's worthwhile for most people, but for some it is. Some, if you have the resources to do it and do it properly, if you have such niche needs that no one's going to meet them, totally understandable. But if the software is out there, it's at a reasonable price, you won't be able to beat it in-house. All right, thank you.